Emergency Intercom.
So, welcome to this episode, New Year's episode. We're recording it 3 weeks before, so it's a little jarring and a little hard for me to comprehend exactly what we're filming today, but it'll be good. But I wanted to start off with, this is for real, the last time you see me with the Flum Flow. And I bought an ugly, or cute, disgusting one that tastes disgusting.
It literally looks like a matcha latte. Like,
Yeah.
It looks like when you go to a really nice matcha bar and they're like, we put a little milk, then you put the matcha, then you put more milk.
Yeah, but for real this time, I'm literally like your addict's friend that is like, no, like I'm seriously done smoking
this time
weed.
it's
Like
done.
It's for real, and then you go 2 weeks and then they're back on it, and it's just nothing is ever said. But for real this time, because the flavored vapes are banned in California starting January 1st. So next time you see me, we'll be in Texas, or I guess I'll be in Texas because we're doing a Zoom episode. But next time you see me in person in LA, vapes are banned. And
Is that really going to happen, though? Or is it like when they said they were going to ban Juul pods and then it didn't happen?
I think it's really going to happen because all of the smoke shops are like taking preparations. Like everyone I've been to has been like, yeah, they're banned January 1st. And I've asked the same thing, like Juul's, and they were like, no. But Juul's is such like a big company, and like they were it was probably just a takedown by Big Tobacco anyways, or like an attempt to take them down, and it just like failed because
it didn't work.
They lobbied in Congress or some shit. But I think Flum floats are dead. I pray.
What is this new little logo? Like it just says
was
UT. Like it
University of Texas. They're made on the campus in Texas.
Oh, they have like 20-year-olds making them?
Yeah.
That actually freaked me out the other day because speaking of New Year, I've been saying I'm 24 because like I always like a month or two before start saying my like age that's coming because I like
Need
hate
it.
I hate getting to that age and then trying to transition into it, and then it takes me like 3 months to do it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But speaking of New Year and getting older, I realize like now like college students are like start like especially like freshmen. I'm like, that's a child. Like I'm getting to the point where I'm like, oh, like I'm like an 18, 19-year-old, which I'm sure is so annoying because like of course when you're 18, 19, you don't feel like a child and you don't want to be revered as a child. But now even I look at myself at 18, 19 and I'm like, oh my God, I was so lost and a child.
Such
and
a baby. Literally still am lost and still feel like a baby. But yeah, no, I fully know what you mean. Like the older I get, because I'm 16 now, like when I was like 11 looking at like 18-year-olds, I thought they were like fucking like grown ass adults.
But now that you're 16, that's so close.
They look younger than me even. So I'm just like, it's very, very weird. But yeah, I turned 17 on March 4th. So new year, new me. Like,
ready? Are you going to be one of those people who throws like a big like last like hurrah before 18, because 18 is like when you have to get really serious?
Yeah, exactly. I also lost my license recently.
Wait, what do you mean you lost it?
Like I got it revoked.
Oh, why? What did you do?
I'm just such a bad driver.
Oh, okay. I was scared you were going to say you got like a DUI. Or
I did. I got a DUI.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's only the third one, so like I'm not gonna see prison because I'm also a child. But yeah, it was like the third one, so it's been good. But yeah, I'm supposedly never gonna drive again, which is honestly good for me.
But they say that, but like unless they catch you, you know.
Yeah.
You can just keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
I'm always scared of getting my license revoked for reasons I can't say. I'm a good driver. There are just things, although I'm 24, there are just things like I can't get around to doing.
Yeah.
And it's fake. It's fake. That stuff is not real anyway. That is literally fake and it's not real, but
they're probably thinking like you drinking and driving, but it's literally
like paperwork oriented things. It's like I should go wait in a line for something, but I'm like,
absolutely fucking not.
Like,
absolutely not. Remember your line arc? Like you being obsessed with lines?
Dude, yes. And also, I kind of tapped back into that because me and Josiah, after that one event recently, we took a Lime scooter back home, and it was fucking lit. Like, literally, you could pause it.
No, line. Line.
Line scooter?
Yeah, no, not scooters, lines, like queuing in a line.
Oh, when I really wanted to like make that a series.
Yeah.
I still kind of want to do that, so I'm not going to explain it, but I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, that still would be such a funny and stupid idea for a video, but I just have I don't have like the motivation and pizzazz that I used to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just don't have it in me anymore.
Yeah.
And like, you know what else I don't have is like, part of that would be like the ability to kind of go and like make fun of people to their face and record it. And like, I can't do that anymore. Cause I also feel like now I'm at a position where like, I can't really do that. Actually, I'm just going to say the idea. And if I end up doing it, like act like you didn't fucking hear it.
Be surprised.
But I had a video idea that I was really obsessed with doing for a while, and it was like best lines in LA, and it was gonna be me making fun of like all the lines that people fucking wait in all the time for absolutely nothing, like people waiting in line to spend an absurd amount of money on something that will like not really benefit them, but I can't really judge that because I buy shit that doesn't benefit me all the time, but it gives me a small dopamine boost, so I like it. But like the Supreme line, I'm like in 2023, if you are still lining up at the Supreme store, something is clinically wrong with you. And another reason I never did it is because I was like, why do I feel like I would go and get hit in the head?
Yeah.
Like one of those guys would literally
hit
like,
you.
yeah, one of those guys would literally be like, you're making fun of me, and then grab a mic and hit me.
Yeah.
But like, I just wanted to like go make fun of them and be like, oh my God, this line is so exciting. I'll be here for about 3 hours. And then like interview everyone in the line and be like, what are you so excited for that you're going to be here for 3 fucking hours of your life that you'll never get back? And then do it for a bunch of places like Alfred's Coffee used to have, but Alfred's Coffee doesn't have lines like that anymore. But like places like that used to have like crazy lines, I wanted to go and interview people and be
pre-pandemic.
like, yeah, I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this?
Do you remember when COVID first dropped and we all found out we had it? Or we thought we had it, and then we went to I think this is like such a big moment in history that we'll look back on, and it'll be like aerial photos of the Dodger Stadium line for COVID testing.
Oh, yeah.
And we literally went to it on purpose so we could say we went there. But like that was such an insane experience. Like how like it literally felt like the end of the world. Like going in and
it
like
was so dystopian.
yeah, like waiting in line in your car and then them handing a bag through the window and then you driving up and getting the results the next day and like just all this crazy shit. And I was like, damn, like I don't know. That was just like, that just popped in my head because you were talking about lines, and I remember we waited forever.
Also, like, for what? We weren't doing anything. We could have just stayed home and like waited it out. But I guess we wanted, obviously, like most people, we wanted to know if we had it.
Yeah.
Like, we were staying at home, but like Josh was still going to and from his parents' house to see his parents.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to make sure we didn't kill any family members.
Yeah. Damn, such a crazy time that like we kind of all trauma blocked and don't talk about because like.
Because now it's like also it's crazy how like big of a like political burst that caused. Like that was literally, like I say all the time, like that was just like the like last line of like everybody had all these like intense crazy ideas of like what they found right and wrong politically, and then how did COVID become the thing to like make them really speak on it? It literally was like the last straw for like so many people where they were like, you can't tell me what to do. Like it literally like blew people's brains out of their fucking skull, and I like cannot fucking believe that because I'm like, it really was such a simple fix, and nobody like for like it was so simple to get rid of, and like just because of human like lack of care, like it just like kept going.
Humans are inherently greedy. But yeah, I remember I literally am still like fiending for that time. I'm like, can there be like another pandemic or something, please? Like where no one dies but we all get locked inside so I can stay inside for 6 months and have an excuse to not see anybody, because now that it's all said and done. Oh, that's another thing I've noticed is like after the pandemic, there was like a giant influx of like people going out, and it was like a renaissance, and it was really beautiful and fun, and you were seeing everybody all the time, and everybody was out all the fucking time. And now everybody experienced burnout like a year later, 6 months later, and now everything is so vibeless, and it's like the pandemic but with no reason, and everybody's just burnt out and doesn't want to do anything. We're literally experiencing
the vibe epidemic. It's like the vibeness epidemic that we're experiencing.
It really truly is.
There's no vibes to be had especially in our community right now. And it's like, where are the vibes? Like, where are the girls going out? Us as if we would fucking go out.
I was about to say, like, the only reason we're okay with it is because we didn't go out anyways.
But what's awesome is all the big brands and brands in general who really tried to like mark a profit off of fucking face masks and putting their stupid ass fucking logos on face masks, and now they're like $3 a fucking face mask because you're dumb and you made 8 million of these masks thinking you were gonna sell them all.
Yeah.
And now you're like really trying to push them onto people when people are like, I literally don't need that.
Do you remember the people?
Those stink and they don't work because they're like cloth.
Do you remember the people early in the dude? Like, oh my fucking god! Like, just so much shit happened. Like, in that we just all kind of forgot about. Like the people that like hoarded all the food and the toilet paper and the fucking masks. Like, do you remember that? I have a vivid image of that dude with like 8 million masks stacked in his garage while like fucking nurses were like treating COVID patients without masks because this guy had them all and he was like flipping them for a crazy price. And it's just like, of course he was white, like of course, but like it's just crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Tapping into your DNA in a time of need, your DNA will take control.
The inherent need for white people to make a profit.
But like that is so crazy. Like the toilet paper thing literally was insane. And I like, why was that the thing? Okay, because in like coming from Florida and like Miami, and every time there's a hurricane or a threat of a hurricane, the first thing to go is water bottles. But that makes sense because if like pipes break, like you shouldn't be drinking tap water during a hurricane because like you don't know what's getting into the systems. Like a lot of the plants that are filtering water are down because of like dangerous whatever. Like, yes, you need bottled water. I've never seen toilet paper go like that. Like,
yeah, it was really shocking. Why was
that the thing?
Because like I think it was the thing because people made it the thing, but like it could have been anything. But like I think also it's just it looked a lot more scary than it was because since toilet paper is so big on the shelves, it's probably like the biggest item in the grocery stores. So like
toilet paper and paper towels.
Yeah, so like you can't order a lot of quantity of it, and it takes like 6 people buying out the shelf for it to look like everybody in the world overbought their toilet paper. That, and also like imagine wiping your ass with your fucking fingernails. Like that's what like you would have to do. You'd have to like go under there with your flat hand and just like.
Yeah, if you had to wipe.
Do you wipe from the front or the back?
No, from the back.
Okay, fair.
Because if I wiped from the front, I would literally have like a moldy fucking vagina.
Yeah.
Right.
I wipe from the front because I like the little poop specks on my balls. Wiener. Yeah. How do people do that? How do fucking people do that? I don't know.
And I have like.
Also, I think it's a lie that people say like half the people stand up to wipe and half sit down. I do not believe that. I need a study. I need a credible study done.
Do you sit or do you stand?
I like lift my ass up.
Yeah, I can do like a mix of both, depending on like how diligently I need the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
But also, what's crazy?
I think this is a new record. We went like, how long have we gone? We went 13 minutes without talking about shit.
Poop or sex.
Yeah, but we broke it. But yeah.
Like it's not that crazy because you could have just used a fucking towel. Like we could have just like what should have happened in that moment is humans should have progressed into like bidet and like reusable like wiping technology. Like it should have been a bidet and like towel mix since like Americans like need so badly for like the drying part of like the butt. Like do you know what I'm saying? Like, so every time I hear like somebody who's like never encountered a bidet talk about it, they're like, I don't want my ass to be all fucking wet. And it's like, okay, like we're not spraying you down with a fucking fire hydrant hose, bitch. Like It's literally not that deep. Also, like you'd rather have a flaky butt. That's the thing about, okay, I'm not gonna, that's the thing about poop. Like,
is when it dries, it's flaky.
But yeah, we need to get a bidet.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't have one yet.
Because we're still a wipe family. I love calling our household a family.
Yeah, my first brand deal that I was like ever super excited about, and I'm pretty sure it was a fucking scam at this point, but like a bidet company reached out and wanted to work with me and wanted me to post like I worked their ass up too on the price. I was about to get paid for this fucking brand deal, and then they ghosted me. But I was so excited. And I was telling everybody.
It's because it wasn't real, and you were asking too many.
They were probably
questions.
like, "What's your passwords?"
Yeah.
So we can log in and see
what
your
year
analytics.
Is this when you were like a child still?
Yeah. It was You Now era.
Okay. I just remembered I got scammed. Like, not crazy, but I remember the first time I got scammed.
You told me about this.
Yeah, it's when I was like, I should have known, but like
Josiah
also...
got scammed recently. And it was for something so embarrassing.
I got like scammed when I was like 15, 16. And I should have known it, but you know what it was? It was a big pride moment because I would like argue with my parents so much about doing the internet. And I was like, no, you don't understand. This like one day will be my career, blah, blah, blah. And I would argue with them so much on it. So then when this happened, like I was like so proud of myself. But like this company, like it was like a clothing brand, sent me hats and was like, oh, if you post it, the number was insane. It was like an unreal number, but I was also a kid and like,
wait, say the number.
I think it was like anywhere from $5,000 to $9,000.
Jesus
to
Christ.
Post a fucking hat.
Jesus Christ.
In like 2014, which is like no, like
Unheard
2015. That like at that point, like no one was getting really paid anything. I don't know why I thought I was the fucking chosen one. But like I think because one, I was a kid. Two, because like I just didn't really have any grasp on money, and like also like that was like life changing, like and I like that would have literally been life changing. I would have been able to like at that age give my parents money like that, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane. And basically it was not fucking real, and I was so fucking mad, and I had posted the hat, and then I think I even left the photo up because I thought it was a really good picture of me.
You did.
So I was like, girl, fuck you, like I look good, but then I destroyed the hat. Not destroyed it, but I like sewed a whole new design over it, and I wore it like every fucking day, like because I was like, wait, this design is fucking lit. But I was really mad, and I wish I like had evidence of like what I said to him, because I was like, what's funny too is like I've like spoken about this, is there was another instance where like I was done really wrongly by someone older as like a 15-year-old, and I was like, I remember I went in on them, and then when I looked back at the message, I was like, oh my god, I was like so articulate and like well spoken in this email, and I remember kind of carrying the same tone where I was like, something is absolutely wrong with you taking advantage of someone like me, like you have no idea what my family situation is, like that money would have been life-changing. Like I was like so like I was like really angry, but I was like, I'll show him. I'm fucking intelligent.
Stick it to the man.
Even though he like scammed the fuck out of me. But like, not you as like a 25-year-old scamming a child. You're weird.
Yeah, I only do brand deals if they're like at least 150K or above.
True, like one IG post, like.
Yeah, my IG, every time I post on Instagram, you're seeing me pocket $350,000.
Okay, Kourtney Kardashian.
Yeah, no, that's Kylie Kardashian level.
Oh, her name is Carly.
That's Kylie Jenner.
Her name is not
Kylie Jenner. That's Kylie Jenner level of money.
But like
maybe even more than her. I probably make more money than Kylie Jenner.
It's insane to think that that's like almost like fully 10 years ago, but it has been like by the time this comes out, it's like 2 days before. Just what I was saying, I was like thinking about in the bathroom earlier, is by the time this episode is coming out, we're like really closing in on what would have been like a decade ago, like the internet journey start. And I'm like, it's just so insane, because I was like thinking about it in the bathroom, I was like, damn, like I really have been, because I started on the internet like really posting my face when I was 14. Like I remember like that's when I started like kind of posting pictures of myself and putting myself out there. At this point I'd already like been on like Twitter and stuff because of One Direction like 10 years ago. But I was like, wow, 10 years ago to this year is when like kind of Vine really started. Because Vine started in 2013, right? I think even like maybe 2012.
Yeah, I remember 2013, 2014 was like when I first started generating like an audience on there.
Oh my god, yeah, January 24th, 2013. 2 days after my birthday it started. Damn. 2 days after my 14th birthday.
That's crazy.
And I think oh my god, in 2013 did I just enter high school, or was it 2014?
I think you were just entering high school in 2014, because I was entering high school in 2014.
Okay, yeah, no, because I remember I had Vine in middle school.
14, 15, 16. No, I was in 2013. I was in 9th grade.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was still in middle school. I had like a few months left of middle school.
Wait, no. Fuck, I have it literally all wrong. I was in 9th grade last year.
Wait, you're only a sophomore, but you're 16?
Yeah, I
Did you
skipped
flunk?
so many levels.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think you might have like flunked a grade or two.
No, I'm special. I'm special.
The kids who fucking skipped grades would not shut the fuck up. I wouldn't shut the fuck up about it because I was supposed to skip grades, but my parents wouldn't let me because they were like, you have no business being around fucking 8th graders when you're a 6th grader. They were so concerned about that.
Gifted and talented. We weren't allowed to skip grades, but we got put into special classes called gifted and talented. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody that are in those classes, that were in those classes, are like drug addicts now. Like I can literally look at everybody around me, and like, sorry, like I'm like thinking from like the perspective of like an 8th grader, but like sitting down in class, I can like look around and I can name every single one of those people and what drug they're addicted to.
It's because it's like crazy to put that much fucking pressure on a child.
That, and if they actually are gifted, like you have to like self-medicate at some point. Like you every person that actually like is like higher level intelligence, like even though that shit's all like gifted and talented is bullshit, but they're like people, literal geniuses have to self-medicate or they'll go fucking insane. But sorry, what were you saying?
That's how I feel because I just know too much.
I know, like I fucking microdose porn every day.
Porn?
Yeah.
Like you wake up and you have to just have like a few seconds of it?
Yeah, but it's like my self-medicating journey because I'm so smart and I just have to like do something to get out of my head, and just it's healthy.
Is it like VR porn or is it just like
no, it's just like iPhone porn. It's just like really basic. Like I just did it.
So you have the VR set where you slide your iPhone in.
Yeah, I just did it, just sitting here.
Oh my god, you just microdosed porn.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was gonna say. I was just gonna say, yeah, like I know people still who were in those classes and like that was just too much pressure to put on a child. I remember in 8th grade, my dad got so mad because I had a fucking, my older sibling literally was like fucking genius kid, like was in all those classes and got every award for 8th grade at graduation. And then when my dad went to, this was like the first time I was like, I am a disappointment. My dad, like, God bless him, he just like expected way too much because my fucking stupid ass sibling put way too much fucking, like, stop. What we need to do is lower standards. And from that moment on, that's what I knew. I was like, I will never set high expectations for my family because I plan on going below those expectations. So from that moment on, I brought the standard so low. Like I never got higher than a C in class because I was like, what you won't do is expect for me to do good in school because I won't be doing it.
Yeah.
I think like maybe on my report card, I would have like 2 B's and then all C's and D's. And I was like,
average.
But I remember like my dad was like, I didn't get a single award. And he was like, well, what happened? And I was just like, I felt so bad. Like I literally like I felt so much shame. I remember like so dramatic going home and like being on the carpet in the bathroom and being like and I fucking cried my eyes out because I was like, I didn't bring home a single award. But those things don't fucking matter. And then from that moment on, I was like, wait, that like is not real and everybody else is crazy.
Dude, it is crazy that like the amount of pressure that I put on myself to like exceed in school, and like looking back at how like obsolete that was to like who I am now. like there was no reason for me to be as high ranked in my school, and then me sitting here in 13 minutes ago talking about like shitting out of my butt and like how I wipe.
2 minutes ago you talk about microdosing porn.
Yeah, exactly. But like I wrote it down because I was like, I don't want to forget this. But like very similar situation. It was like 4th grade, and it was like before. Okay, well, let me preface this. Like, reading and writing is like, I think, I don't know how to word this, but like, like compared to like the average human, like I am so below like what every other human is. Like, I cannot, for the life of me, write or read, and I don't know, it just doesn't click in my brain. Like, especially out loud. Like I can see the words and I can read them in my brain, and most of the time I can comprehend it, but like for some reason there's like a disconnect from my brain to my mouth. But that's like I've talked about that a million times, especially like when we're reading what we've been writing recently, like out loud. Like it takes me a minute to like get in a groove, and I have to like focus so hard on like reading slowly enough and like being able to speak it out loud. Like I literally just have apraxia, but whatever.
I've never heard that word in my life.
It's just where you can't speak, but you can like think in your brain. But I remember in fourth grade, or in third grade, we took like a reading assessment test, and I remember scoring super high. Like I was reading at like an 8th grade level in like third grade, and I felt like such a genius. I felt so sick. I felt so cool. And then fourth grade came around, and we had to do like tax tests where it's like state mandated testing, and it was the first time I ever had a panic attack, and I freaked the fuck out the night before, like scream crying, like I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I can't do this. I took the test, fucking flopped. It was so bad. And since third grade, I have had the exact same reading level. Like I read at an 8th grade level since then. I'm sure it's probably not true, but like literally it feels like I read at an 8th grade level. And and also like spelling is so fucking bad for me. Like if I didn't have autocorrect, like it would be over. Since it's over. Like, but I'm also like, if I do have autocorrect, like why do I need to know how to spell? Because like it's there to help me, and like I'm never writing anything physically anymore. No, because
you need to know how to spell, because like it's like an essential thing.
But why? We have GPD chat AI. Like we have the robot that will just tell me everything.
Now we have like voice to text. So
exactly.
You don't need to know anything.
Or voice memos. Like I don't need to know how to text or spell. But yeah, I also took like a spelling test, and like literally missed every single word except for the hardest word, because I studied the hardest word over and over again and forgot to study everything else. And that's how I learned how to study. And then since then, I like took school very seriously, because I was like, I do not want to be an embarrassment. I cannot feel that embarrassment ever again. And now looking back, I'm like, I caused so much stress and anxiety and put so much pressure on myself when genuinely it doesn't matter. And it probably, yeah, whatever.
It's crazy because I like had the complete opposite. Like all my, like, I think I suffered from the issue that I was like, I don't think I'm necessarily like hyper intelligent or anything. Like I genuinely am not. And I've always said that, like I'm not super intelligent, and I'm like, so
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. You said, yep. Like really, like certainly.
Yeah. It's just like, you're just you.
You're gonna say stupid?
Yeah,
okay,
you're stupid.
Yeah. Wow.
You're stupid.
Wow.
Definitely not hyper intelligent, but I love you for who you are.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever speak to me like that again, I'm fucking murder you and your fucking bitch.
I love you too.
Yeah, I know, and I'm gonna miss you for these breaks. But I've never been like hyper intelligent or anything, and I just like. You know what? Also, when you were like reading and writing is so hard, those have always been like the easiest things for me. Like, but those are my strong suits because I think I've just always been.
That's why we're so compatible, because I have like
you do number. I
do numbers and logistics, and you do emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like how girls typically are, though. They're like emotional, and men are like more stern.
Like that's why like I shouldn't have a bank account or like be able to own a home. Or
that's why I recently had your business manager start wiring your money into my account, and then now you have to ask me for your money.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Yeah, because
it was like really like hard for me to figure out like how to like figure that out. But if you just put me on an allowance, I think I could survive.
yeah. Dude, never mind. I won't get into that.
But
there are relationships.
Yeah, there are relationships like that. No, there are so many. That's a whole different topic. But like as much as like people who use the internet, like all of us and like people who were watching this and are like super aware of those things and like would do our best to not end up in those situations. One, you could always end up in a situation like that because it just happens. All those people are in that situation because it happens, and before they know it, they're in it. Like I think most people have been in a relationship where they walk away and they're like, why the fuck did I stay there? Because I have that. So many people I know have had that. I don't have that right now, but I've had that. And it's just because before you know it, you're like, you look around and you're like, oh my God, I'm like a shell of a human. And I've been letting this person like dictate my life. Yeah. But that's a whole other conversation. But I've always been like good at reading and writing, and because of that I just like flew under the radar, and everybody was like, she's so smart, we love her, she's so smart, we love her, until I got to high school, and then like it was time to like really do math, and I was like and science, I was like
I loved science. I literally love science, but I do have a funny story. It was like 7th to 8th grade. It was like the jump from like doing like algebra to like pre-calculus, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take pre-calculus, like I'm a genius, like I can do this shit. It was like above my grade. Like I was just like fed lies my entire life, and everybody's like, you're so smart, you're doing so good, you're so smart. And I got in that pre-calculus class, and they took like an assessment test to see like where we were, and I scored so poorly that the same day, the first day of school, the teacher pulled me out to the hallway and was like, Drew, I have to be honest with you. I think you should go to the other class, which was like not pre-calculus. And I literally cried. I cried in 8th grade because my teacher told me, you are so stupid that you're not ready for this class. And all of my friends were in that class, and I was so fucking excited. And yeah,
I was doing so bad in school that I wasn't in class with any of my friends because I just wasn't doing any of my work. But what I would do is I would just skip class and go hang out with my friends and be like, get to the bathroom, we need to hang out right now. But
now kids, all they do is hit fucking blinkers in the school bathroom and get fucking high as shit and like get loaded. I mean, kids were doing that in my school, but like with
it was like
pods.
more difficult also though, because like to get high when we were in high school, you literally had to physically smoke or have an edible.
Yeah, my friends and I drove all the way to Dallas to pick up a modded Juul pod that had weed oil in it because it was so hard to find.
Oh, you
carbs.
told us this because you also you told us.
Yeah.
But because also that was like the story where like when y'all were out somewhere, like your friend had like dropped his card or somebody dropped a card. Or no, y'all were at a bar or something and somebody had dropped their card and this guy used it, and then the fucking clerk was like, bitch, I know who this is.
Yeah, that
is
not you. Yeah, small town Texas shit. But I also remember the drive. I don't know if I talked about it, but the drive home with that cart, like we saw probably the most police officers we've ever seen in my entire life. And my friend was driving high, which is so stupid. Don't do that. But yeah, it was, and we were all fucking paranoid, schizophrenic in that car, freaking the fuck out that we were gonna get pulled over. And like one time a cop like did turn around and like start tailing us, but then went around us, and we were like, bro, we're going to jail. We are going to jail. We are going to jail. But nope, we made it home.
Also, it was like hard for me to focus on school because, again, back to what started this, what we always do when we deep dive into like our fucking childhood, is because I was too busy like doing the internet. Like I just didn't care. Like I was like my life, like I'm an entertainer, like I can't be here, like I'm literally like I'm made to like
I'm different.
I'm made to entertain the people. So I was like just doing that, and it's just so crazy. Do you remember where you were the first time a Vine of yours went viral?
Yeah, I was literally on the couch when I woke up the next day, and then I immediately posted a Beyonce Vine right after that. Immediately.
You were like, I am keeping up with this fucking algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't remember exactly where I was, but I remember the Vine. It was my first Vine I ever posted. And yeah, it was me throwing a cheese sandwich at the refrigerator. Yeah.
Right. I think
that was just the weird shit you could get away with on there.
Yeah, like because it was all just like whatever you could do in 6 seconds, which I feel like most people who watch this know we came from Vine. But if you don't, that's how we started the internet, is when we were literally children and we shouldn't have had access to the internet, and we were fucking posting Vines. I was in my geometry class and using my fucking iPod Touch because I had an iPod Touch and an Android. Fun fact, I didn't have an iPhone until like
the Android.
Until I was like, I think 16. I had been posting like everything off of, that was literally my thing. And that's why I'm sure you've seen me do like slide text. Yeah. That's why I'm good at it and I like using it, because Androids were the first like phones to have that, and I would use it all the time because when I was texting the man who was grooming me in class, and I was like, I love you so much, babe. Like,
meanwhile, he's unemployed.
Babe, I'm in
24.
biology right now, so I can't send you a picture of me, but I will in a second. Give me 1 second.
Crazy.
I remember like also like this is just getting into it, but I remember like my friend Sicard, who I'm still friends with. I don't even know if I've ever like spoken to him about this, but no, I think he did know about this guy because like Sicard was the only other person in my life who like used the internet kind of to the same capacity as me. Like we both were like Tumblr users and like
I love Sicard having his arc though.
I know,
now.
I love his
it.
TikTok so much.
I eat that shit up.
You've probably seen because now he does like fashion and like interior design.
Yeah.
Like
and we have
commentary.
such similar tastes. We've texted about it before, talked about it before. Like we have the exact same taste and we desire the exact same thing. In
I know, like Sicard's come over after a walk once and like came in and like I went to their into Drew's room and they were like looking at chateaus.
Yeah, on Zillow.
But I remember
Sotheby's.
like during like it was like one of the things where like he had broken up with me because he was like, you're just like, you're too young. I can't wait for you. And I was like, please, like,
please wait.
Please text me back. Like, and I was like, I had my bad habit when people would ask if I was okay and I would just start crying. And Sicard would ask me if I was okay. And I was like, you know. And I like went to the bathroom and Sicard came in with me and I was like, he just doesn't want to be with me anymore.
Oh my god.
And I remember crying over it in like 9th or 10th grade.
Dark. That is so dark.
So fun.
Yeah, I was just telling you recently that like maybe I even said it on the fucking podcast, but like how I like am just now processing what the fuck I was doing when I was a 16-year-old, 15-year-old, like driving illegally to it's just it's
literally it's because it's like now it is far enough away and now we are like I mean, although you're only 16, your brain is like coming to its full developmental stuff.
Exactly.
So now it is like it's like, damn, I'm like, I've been an adult for long enough now that I'm like, I am an adult and I'm looking at like things I did as a teenager and now I fully identify teenagers and I'm like, that is like I got into an argument with my little sister because I was like, girl, you are a child. Like you don't like,
I promise you think you know everything. I promise
you are a child. Which again, I know like young people don't like to hear it and I hated hearing it. But it is like that annoying thing where it's like when you're older, you'll look back and you'll be like, I was a kid. And yeah, you are a child.
Even like looking back when I thought I was older when I was like 21, I was like, yeah, that shit's still fucking lit. Like I'm fucking lit for that. And now I'm like, oh my god. Oh my fucking god. What was I doing, dude?
But like I remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, I was in geometry when
I just thought of another one.
I know. In geometry, I that's where I was when the first Vine.
It's honestly fucking so sad.
Went viral. Your teenage years, what you were up to. Yeah.
It's really sad.
You know what? Hey, I'm here. If you want someone to talk about it and work through it.
Thank you.
Our
you know everything.
I know our friend group loves sitting around and like talking about it and be like, isn't that crazy? All right. Let's watch car crash compilations.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was in geometry and I remember I'd woken up. Also, as I'm thinking about it, like that era of like Twitter and Vine was so like dependent on being basically a fucking baby journalist. Like it was dependent on being a baby pop culture journalist. Because I remember after every VMA performance or anything,
dude, live tweeting the VMAs,
having to live tweet it, and then sometimes like I had a strict parent who would be like, you need to go to bed, like get off, and I would be like, fuck. So the next morning I was always late to the fucking scraps of the jokes, and I would be sitting in class, and I remember that day I was watching one of Beyonce's performances from the night before. It wasn't the one where she like where she had like the screen behind her. I don't remember which one it was, but I remember like watching it and then being like, fuck, okay, like what's the joke? Like what am I gonna say about this? Like, and like going to Twitter and then seeing that like the tweet of it did pretty good, and I was like, oh wow. So I like clicked on it and it had done like, at the time, like for me, I was like, oh my god, this is like insane. Like I'm literally viral. It got like 11K likes, and I was like, oh my god, like this is it. And but that's still when like the app was such a baby.
Yeah.
So that felt like humongous. It was like, oh my god, like I don't even know how many people are on this app. And I remember being like, fuck, okay, when I get home, I have to like have a good joke, and I have to like keep it going. And I remember every day after school in like middle school and high school, I would go to like, if you have ever seen like my Vines, which I would actually rather die than anybody like talk to me about them now, but there was like a desk that my dad had that I would always sit in that chair because that was like my after school chair. I would sit in it and like spin in it, and it was like this big comfy desk chair, and that's where I would make all of them. And I would go there and I would sit there for an hour and I'd be like, and like me being like, wow, what am I gonna talk about? And then like what I would talk about was like the dumbest shit ever. But
my favorite shit ever was live tweeting American Horror Story.
Oh
I
my God.
love live tweeting. And then like just like getting into the deeper seasons and being like, wow, this show fucking sucks balls. Like
I know, it
fell
getting
off
progressively so bad.
So hard, so quick.
I
It
bet
was
if we
wild.
watched it now, like we would be like, this fucking sucks. I'm trying to wait, what was it called? Was it Asylum with
Asylum, Coven, Murder House were the three like good ones.
Asylum was the first one. Oh, Murder House was like the lit one. That's when everyone was really tapped in.
That was the first
Yeah.
season, yeah. And then Coven, super iconic. Like I think that's their best season. And then like the Hotel, I think was like the last like okay season.
Because that's the one Lady Gaga was in,
yeah,
right?
Gaga was in it.
I wanna hold you close.
No.
Oh, that was such a good era. But yeah, I just remember like that taking up all my life, and now I'm like, wow, I'm like still doing the internet, and I was right.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna stick to it.
See, I don't think I ever had like a cognitive thought where I was like, this is like, no, that's a lie. I remember being like, no, this is it. But I never had really any pushback from like people in my life other than like my friends in school. And that's the only people I ever knew. And my dad obviously was like, what are you fucking doing? Like, why are you dropping out of college? Like, what are you, like, literally, what are you doing with your life? And I was like,
dude, I remember the era of me
making
like
money.
begging you to like move, and I was like, please just do it. Like, please, like stop.
I was very committed to doing it. I just had to figure out how to like tell and I remember I was literally just like, I'm moving out, and they were like, okay, but like, how are you going to go to school? And I was like, no. And then they were like, okay, well, we're not supporting you financially if you're not going to go to school. And I was like, okay, I support myself already. Like, I can do this. I'm fine. And I was just telling you, there were like moments when I first moved to LA where I was like broke. I was like, oh my God. Like I remember like actually being at a point where I was like, I have to skip this meal so I can like keep this same amount of money so I can like go back to Texas for the holidays and shit.
Oh my God, I remember that like the first like 2 years of being like, I remember even the first year being like, oh my God, it's so expensive to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, this is so much money, and like I'm not making money like that. Like, and I was like, and I want to go home and like give my family gifts, but how the fuck am I supposed to do that
dude,
with like this amount? Like it's still so expensive. Like that's why every time the holidays come around, I like think about like how many people can't go back to their families, and
it makes
like
me so
it
sad.
is so sad because it is one, it's a trek. Like it's a big like commitment to being able to do that. And thankfully we're in the position where like financially we can, and like also because we like time our job out however we want, we can go back. But like going back is huge. Like to go back to Miami is really expensive.
Yeah.
Like, and it's always been so expensive. The most like I've spent upwards, and this sounds gnarly, but like I was going to do it to go see my family. But I remember that first year, it literally like ripped my fucking brain out of my skull. I didn't realize that I should have gotten my ticket way earlier. And I got it like a week before I was supposed to leave, or like a week and a half. And I'm still pretty bad at it. Now I've gotten way better, and I dig for a cheap ticket. But at the time, for a round trip from LA to Miami, it was $1,200. And also I couldn't fucking ask my parents. So I was like,
dude, also like pre-pandemic, like how expensive flights were. Like I think like the pandemic was low-key like a good thing for the flight industry, at least as like consumers, because now the flights are so expensive. They're just now recently like getting back to the price that they were, but like for like 3 years you could fly for literally pennies on the dollar, and then now it's like expensive again. But like, yeah, I remember just like it was so, I remember I had to ask my parents to buy me a flight home one time, and they were like, are you struggling? Like, do you need to move home? And I was like, no, like I'm genuinely okay. Like I need to do this because I need to be out here, and I want to
I remember
make this
that year
happen.
because you like told me. And then
Yeah, I was
like,
so embarrassed. I hate people paying anything for any amount of money for me on anything.
I
Like,
remember I've had to ask you for like money. I've had to be the person where I'm like,
can I have some? But like, I don't mind giving it to people because I literally, y'all are so integrated into my life that if you don't pay me back, I'll just find your family and hurt them.
Oh my God, why would you do that? Just like, don't even like give us the money.
I caught myself literally like yesterday, like almost doing that to Josiah. And then I was like, no, like stop. Like you need to fucking chill. But the problem is like it's like
funny to like
it's
joke
fun.
about, but then like you're like, oh wait,
is this coming from a real place? Like is this coming from a real place?
It's also funny because like money is just such a like contention point of like I like think most people like even all around the world. It's crazy how like integrated it is into like embarrassment and shame, like based on like
it's not even fucking real.
I know none of it is real, but it is. But it's crazy because it's so real, but it's not real.
Like the fact that like I could literally print fake money right now and like kind of get away with it for a little bit just proves that it's not real. But don't do that. Have I ever told that story about me buying fake money?
No.
Have I really not?
I don't know what you're talking about.
On the dark web?
Oh no, you have because we've had a whole conversation about the dark web too. Because I was like, what is that? Like I don't understand what that is.
I'm gonna tell it very briefly, just because it's been so long. But it was like around the time that I like started was like kind of a thing on the internet, and I remember I was like seeing everybody in the same like bracket as me online with like a bunch of cool shit and like a bunch of money and all this shit, and like I was so inconsumable to brands that like I never made any cash on anything I ever did, and like whatever, not the end of the world. But I remember I wanted to be like people, so I attempted to buy fake $50,000 in fake cash on the dark web, and my with like Bitcoin, and then that's how I had Bitcoin. That like that's a part of the reason why I was able to move out here was because it failed.
Oh yeah.
And it was like the first spike in Bitcoin, and I sold it all when it first spiked. And the only reason I had it was because I told my older brother that I wanted to buy hallucinogens online. I was like a child, and he should have said no, but he was like, yeah, fine, I'll give you some cash. But he was also a child, and he gave me like some Bitcoin because he was like mining Bitcoin for years. And then, yeah, failed at buying the mushrooms, and then I was like, I'm going to buy fake cash. Fuck it. I didn't even attempt to buy the mushrooms, but fuck it, I'm going to buy fake cash. Failed at that. I was so scared because the first article I looked up was like, 14-year-old kid goes to prison for 10 years. Or like, oh, no. I know, it's probably not even fucking real. But then I just held on to it for like 3 years, and then it blew up, and I was able to move out here. That and my merch drop. But.
Yeah. Who was like the first, because also with this year, we like officially come up on 10 years of friendship.
Which is fucking crazy.
Because we've been, for the past like year, we've been like 10 years. Because, like, I guess we've kind of known of each other for 10 years already, but this is, like, 10 years of, like, hi, like, hello.
Speaking.
Which is actually insane. Who was the first, like, friend who you're, like, kind of still friends with, who you, like, had a real conversation with? Like, who, like, or not even who you're still friends with. Who was the first person you remember, like, exchanging a phone number with and, like, getting on the phone with?
Dana.
Really?
Yeah, it was Dana, Sydney, and Savannah, the Holy Trinity. Those were my girls. Like, we even did like a fucking meet and greet on Club Penguin, and it was just like it was them, and then that led to Christian, who was next, and then I met like Josh and Lucas over Zoom, and like, Emma.
Uvu.
Yeah, Uvu. And then I met you through like the internet. I don't know. But
yeah. I think my first.
I was gonna say, who are yours?
My first people who I actually ever spoke on the phone with, was this guy Chris, who I knew, and it was Emma. And also, when we're saying Emma, we mean Greer.
Mm-hmm.
And like. Those are just the first people I ever like spoke on the phone
with,
and it was via
Uvu.
Emma. Like, yeah, and I like that was like I had known Emma for like so long because I used to be obsessed with her because I thought she was like really funny in like 2012, 2013 because she just was already like such a big personality on the internet, and I remember I was like obsessed with her, and I remember I used to like tweet at her a bunch. Like I was like so like I literally thought she was so funny, and then like we became friends, and her really close friend at the time, Chris, we all became friends, and like I remember. Again, I had strict parents who like they were like, do not fucking talk to people on the internet. And like when my parents weren't home, I got on Uvu, and I remember Emma used to make fun of me so bad because she'd be like, what the fuck? Your parents think like we're gonna kidnap you? Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, it's just they don't know who I'm talking to. And like we would always like joke and talk, and like I remember so many times I'd be on Uvu with them. And, like, we'd just be talking. And they were actually the first people who I ever knew who watched, like, RuPaul's Drag Race, too. And they were, like, they would talk about it, but I would kind of just sit in because I didn't watch it. And I would just, like, I would basically, like, a lot of times watch them talk because I was still so shy and, like, really reserved because, like,
dude,
I was just always so reserved. Like, I literally, like, I didn't tell anybody about my personal life until, like, I was, like, 20 or, like, 19. So, like, I was always very, like, reserved in that way. But I remember one time my dad came home from getting groceries, and I like slammed the laptop down and I shoved it under my blankets. And then Emma made fun of me so crazy because she was like, girl, what the fuck? Like, why did you get off? And I was like, my dad came home and he doesn't know I talked to you guys. And she was like, you were so fucking weird for hiding this. You're not doing anything wrong. And I was like, you don't understand. And then I remember I also loved Sydney, and she like knew I thought Sydney was really funny. And like at this point, I think I had mutuals with all these people, but because I was so reserved and like really like I was grown up on the idea that like talking to obviously like these strangers, like it wasn't real. So I was just like I never reached out to
I
talk
just
to
didn't
anybody.
even really have an interest to like myself. Like I didn't really like I had all these mutuals, but I kind of was like content with my life like outside of the internet, and then things changed.
I think I wasn't like I had friends, but like I wasn't like hanging out with people outside of school. So like I did have this like kind of gap of loneliness within talking to people my age other than my siblings. So I was like always kind of craving to talk to somebody. Which led to other things that were naughty, but like I was always craving to talk to somebody. I remember one time, I think maybe Dana and Savannah and them were on this, because then there was that guy Ed. Do you remember Ed?
Oh, Ed literally.
Yeah, Ed literally.
I still have a mutual.
I think I do too. And like
Finsta.
all of them were like like on there talking, and like Emma was like, oh, I'm going to call you. And I was like, okay. And she was like, just answer. And I was like, what? And I was like, is Chris on? She's like, no. And I was like, okay, it's just us. And she threw me into like a big chat room with all these people. And
Terrifying.
I remember just being, I was so silent. And I remember being so fucking mad at her. And I was like, you fucking bitch. You were like trying to fucking embarrass me. And I was so mad.
That's literally.
But then like after, I was like the happiest ever because I ended up talking and like becoming friends with all these people. And it was fucking awesome. And I was like, oh my God, like all these people find the same things I find funny. And like we're like getting along so well.
Yeah.
And like
I truly believe that is like a real thing that like I don't know how to word it, but like you will find the people that you're meant to find eventually. Like there's a reason why you, me, Josh, Lucas, Christian, Orion, Josiah, like all of us, like there's a reason why like we're all friends together and why we all find the same like things funny and why we all have the same sense of humor. It's just like literally divine intervention. Like we were like meant to find each other. And I truly believe that like you will find your people, like just based off like the energy that you put out into the universe. But you mentioned RuPaul's Drag Race. I remember being like literally a fucking child, like I want to say like 13, and like finding RuPaul's Drag Race like whenever Netflix first like had the streaming service. And I remember RuPaul's Drag Race was on there. It was like season 1 through 8. And I remember watching that show religiously as like a child. And it was so scary to be watching it because I would be watching it on like my dad's computer or my mom's computer in their bed and like while they're gone. And then they would come home and I was like watching porn or something, and I would hide it and like log out and do all this crazy shit. And like, yeah, I completely forgot that like there's like a watch history and like you could see like what you're watching, but like was absolutely mortified that someone would catch me watching RuPaul's Drag Race. But yeah, that shit was lit. But the same thing happened to me where like I was thrusted into a group chat with like Lucas and Josh and shit, and they say the same thing now, but I was like petrified of them. I like looked up to them in like such a
Dude, I
crazy
know,
way
we were all
comedically.
talking about it in Big Bear. Like,
yeah, and they were saying that like they felt the same way about me, and I was like, there's no fucking way, because I just like literally don't think I was ever funny. Like I don't think I'm funny. Well, I know I'm funny now because I'm like one of the funniest people alive. But back then I didn't think anything I was doing was important or funny. But like Lucas was like saying the same thing. He was like, I was like fucking nervous to
Dude,
chat
I
to you.
know. We talk about it all the time because I remember I was like so nervous because I genuinely always the funniest people, especially on Vine to me, were Lucas and Josh. Like I like
dude,
always thought they
carried.
were just so good and like so comedically inclined. And I remember being like,
Honestly, Christian too.
Christian was fucking hilarious.
His
Christian's
shit was
just
like
always
brainy.
been so funny. He's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like Christian is like the weirdest motherfucker I've ever met in my life.
Have I ever talked about the first time I met Orion?
Dude, no, not publicly. Should we save it for like if we ever actually fucking have her on? Because I have a story about Josh that I like really want to tell, but I'm like,
Girl, we're never gonna have Orion on.
no, we will this year. Never say never.
We'll see. But I'll save it.
But yeah, I just remember like it's so funny because now these are like all like genuinely my family. Like leaving for Christmas, I'm always like, oh, I wish I could bring everybody with me. But then I'm like, they all have family, and I'm grateful and I'm happy that everybody has family they love and can go back to.
Mine is slowly dwindling away and expiring. I'm losing so many people in my life. It's crazy.
No, don't say that. They're still here and they will be here.
They'll be in my heart forever.
You'll be in my heart forever. But yeah, it's just so funny that now it's like truly coming up on 10 years and it's like, wow, man, like I was a kid like exploring so much on the internet and it's like it was such a new frontier still, and like I don't know, it's just so funny to think about. Like it's crazy. And I remember the second person I had ever spoken to, like, or like I guess it was like the first like specifically like boy I had spoken to, so like that made me extremely nervous because I was just like, fuck, if my dad finds out I'm talking to a boy, he's gonna think I'm like gonna go get like fucking like kidnapped by like a man. If he finds out I'm talking to a boy on the phone who doesn't live in my area, he's gonna be like,
did your dad know that we talked?
No, my dad, because my dad was just so like for the right reasons was really fearful of the internet. Like he wasn't even really using the internet. We weren't like an internet like forward household.
That just blows my mind because of how close we were. We were talking like every day, every hour, every
my dad
minute.
like thought like the people I would like text and talk to on my phone were just like my friends until we got onto a tour. Then he like that was like a change, and I really had to force my dad to like let me go on tour, and I had to fucking beg. I remember the moment he like said yes to it and agreed to it, and it was like I went outside and like it was like at the house they still live in now, and we like sat on those same chairs that are out there, and I was like, I just like looked at him and I was like, if you don't let me do this, like this will be the most heartbreaking thing ever, and I think like it will be something I regret for the rest of my life, and like this will be life-changing for me. And like I literally went outside and I pleaded to him, and then like he just sat there in silence, and like it was all always out of like just concern for me. Like my dad was just like hyper paranoid. Like we didn't grow up in an area where it was very safe already, so like obviously like especially for like young like girls, so he was just like that was just like always on his mind. And then I remember he like said yes to it, and then he was like, but if one thing goes wrong, it is done. Like you are packing it all up and it is done. And then like I remember the one thing he said to me, and I think he was really concerned because again of like general history, he was like always really concerned about his kids like ever like drinking or using drugs and stuff, like which I feel like most parents are always like concerned for. I remember like the one thing that he said to me, he was like, and you just like never leave a cup unattended. And like he like said that to me.
I'm gonna put GHB in your drink.
And like it wasn't even like over like you or anything. He was just like never. And like that was like the thing he said to me, and he was like, and please be safe, because I think like that weekend, because that I was pushing it so hard because it was like that was like the determining weekend if I was gonna start or not. And yeah, but he didn't know I was like friends with anybody even up until like I remember like even when like Emma passed, like that was so hard to explain to him. Like I was just like, I remember I was like at the beach with my family. I remember that was like so hard to explain, and I was like, no, like, because I also didn't want to out that I had been using the internet, but I was like, no, this is somebody I know. And he was like, it's someone you follow. And I was like, no, it's like, and like I like just didn't know how to like explain it to him. And I was like, and he was like didn't know how to help me. He was like I don't get it, like have you seen this person before? And I was like, yes, but like and on my phone, like it was just so funny to like try to explain that to him. I remember like being at the beach and just being like, and I also, it was funny because like at that time I like had friends, but again, I was so reserved. Like I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it, which was also like such a crazy thing. But that's a whole other topic. But like, yeah, it's just so funny. Like my dad had no idea. Like I had a whole community of
like
friends.
a life.
Like he literally like, he was so unaware of that.
It's like Hannah Montana.
I was living a double life. I literally was. Like,
was that the first time anybody's cried on the podcast?
Maybe.
Oh my god. Wow.
But yeah, I just remember like my dad just didn't fucking know, dude. He had no idea. I think he had an inkling. Like he's not like dumb. My dad isn't like, he wasn't like, what's the internet? Like he had Facebook, but he wasn't like using it like for like to meet different people. I don't even think he still is doing that. But like whatever.
Well, I saw your dad on Grindr.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. So he is using it to meet people. But
you didn't like interact with him?
No, we matched and
oh my God.
I hit like crazy. The second time someone's cried on the podcast.
But yeah, I don't even know why I got into that. Oh, but I was just basically, yeah, my dad had no idea that I like had so many friends on the internet. And I think like even like, I think when I went to press play, he knew maybe that I knew Christian because my dad was like, how did this even happen? And I was like, well, one of my like friends who I follow like added me on or whatever. Because Christian was also like the second person I had like spoken to on the phone. I remember he spoke to me on the phone because he was basically recruiting me for press play because we had all been like texting and talking so much, like not vocally, but we'd been talking so much. Like that whole like crew that was forming. And I was like, he was like, can I call you? Because like, I need to ask, like, I'm confused. Like, what's your setup? And I was like, oh my God. And then Christian ended up telling me that he was in the same position that like his parents still were kind of like confused about it. Like he was like on press play, but they were still like, don't talk to new people on the internet. Like they were like still very like, don't, cause like we've seen who you know, and we don't want you to keep meeting random people because you've lived this far without being kidnapped, but you will be kidnapped. And then he told me that. It is
surprising that we weren't kidnapped by it is really shocking.
I mean, we basically were.
Yeah, we were held captive emotionally. But yeah, I remember with my parents, they like genuinely didn't care. They were like, whatever, like do whatever you want.
Next episode, we'll talk about the tour because like I can't. We need to just talk about it because like
we need Christian on, but he'll never do that.
Yeah, that's just too much.
Yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot of crazy shit that we got into that went down, this weird vibes, but it was also life-changing and like I would change it for the world.
And it was fun because I got to see you guys and that's what solidified my friendship is like meeting you guys. I remember.
Give me that snot hand. I love you.
Love you
and
too.
I loved everything we've accomplished together.
I love you too. Here's to only going up or failing in a burning fire.
Yeah, we either go up from here or we go burn. Down and down and down and down, and we make our S-word pact come true.
Oh, that's for sure.
Coming soon.
But yeah, 10 years of the internet, 10 years of knowing all these fools.
2 years of this.
Almost 2 years. It's so crazy. It's like fucking insane.
When is 2 years? 104 episodes? Damn, we have like half of a year, more than half of a year.
We haven't been doing this for as long as it's felt. But yeah, just insane that like all of my first friends from the internet I like have contact with, and like some of them are now or like people I see like constantly, and like I live with them. Yeah, it's like too much. I like can't handle anybody. Like sometimes when I like every time we're like all in a group, there's like always the moment of realization when I look at all these freaks and I'm like, oh my God, like
we grew up together. We're old as fuck now. Well, I want to talk about one more thing, and we'll touch on it just briefly, and then we'll see it, or we'll talk more in depth about it in the next episode. But have you seen the new SpongeBob Mandela effect?
Fuck you.
Have you? It's really jarring.
No, I have not.
Okay, so you know the episode where he plays guitar?
Yeah. Wait, the movie where he plays the guitar
Yeah.
and he gets like he's like on the strings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you describe the guitar he was playing?
Oh. It like white and big, and it was like not like super big, but it had like points.
Yes, that's what everyone remembers, but this is the guitar that is now like in the Mandela. Like that's it. And this is what everybody remembers.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, but it's not. This is a fan rendition. And this is the real one.
No, because I remember it being pointy.
I remember it too, and I remember it having two heads for some reason.
Yeah, I remember it having I remember it different.
Yeah, but isn't that fucking crazy?
Are you sure they didn't just like reanimate it?
No, because you can even go back on the VHS tapes and the DVDs or whatever and look at it, and it's the fucking peanut. The goofy goober peanut.
I never noticed that it was a
and
goofy
it's crazy
goober
that I
peanut.
asked you and you said white and pointy because that's literally what everyone fucking remembers. And if you don't, you're from a different timeline and you weren't. You were always
weird
here.
and we don't fucking
you didn't
trust you.
shift timelines with us. But I have this theory that Mandela effect is like quantum hackers like hacking the code and like dropping little trinkets or little things into like our reality to make us realize that like, oh, like we have these abilities to like quantum, like affect quantum mechanics or physics and like completely shift the timeline forever. That or the CERN laser, every time it drops or every time it collides, it shifts us into a different reality. And like some things are just lost along the way or some things are changed. But like if you remember something from the past reality, you shifted, and if you don't, you were already here. If you remember so like for example, like if you remember the white guitar, you shifted realities when CERN zapped its laser, and if you remember the peanut guitar, you didn't, and you were already in this reality, and you're crazy. It's crazy.
Or like maybe it's just because like what we